Good evening, everyone. It is a great honor to welcome Dr. Sweta Adatia, a distinguished neurologist, educator, author, and TEDx speaker based in Dubai. She is known for her remarkable work in brain health, stroke care, migraine management, and integrated neuroscience. Dr. Adatia is the founder of the Economy Brain and Limitless Brain Lab and has inspired audiences across the world through more than 200 workshops, books, and transformational programs. Her work beautifully bridges modern neuroscience with ancient wisdom to help people live healthier, smarter, and more purposeful lives. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Sweta Adatia.
I'm a neurologist, but plumbing is not so much exciting as what it is to kindle the normal brain. So, thank you so much for considering me for this opportunity to meet all of you, wonderful people. Now, as the world is also going through this crucial times, I will start with a prayer, and we all should, I think, pray before we start. And that is called the coherence, also called as the Maharishi effect. So, wherever I see a group of people, I always feel that we should pray together. As many people will be praying together, as much of benefit and peace that we will be able to give to our community at large. There's a very interesting data also which relates to when it comes to coherence. How many of you, and I'm going to make this a little interactive, I know there are 94 people around here, but how many of you are aware about a project called GCP, Global Consciousness Project? Just raise your hand if somebody wants to talk about that project. Global Consciousness Project. Anybody? Anybody can raise their hands? No. Okay. Anybody? Any other person? Any other takers? Global Consciousness Project. So this is like a big, huge computer. It is in United States. This computer throws random numbers. Every day there is random numbers which are thrown. But interestingly enough, before a major event, for example, one of the major events was tsunami in Japan. And the very famous event was when the Twin Towers were actually taken over by the flight, right? We know that the Twin Towers were blasted. Just before a major event, there is congregation that all the numbers come together and the randomness is lost, not afterwards, but the random numbers join before the event, which means there is something happening in the thought processes even before that actual event has happened. So this is such an interesting psycho spiritual context that it always excites me. And I always love what Nikola Tesla said, that brain, since we'll talk about a little bit of brain today and women's brain particularly, brain is not the source, it is the receiver, which means there is a higher consciousness, there is higher power, there is God, whatever you call it. And that is also working through this sophisticated instrument to make things possible. So we'll start with a small prayer. I want everybody to sit straight wherever you are. Take a deep breath. The deeper the breath that you take, you hit a vagus nerve, which is the most powerful nerve in your body. Most people today suffer because this vagus tone has gone down. We have forgotten to activate this beautiful nerve, which is right there all the way until the toe, judging what is happening, what is happening. It is like a little, taking all the accounting. And then when it is calm, quiet, you feel better. So go ahead and activate this vagus nerve. Take a deep breath. Very deep breath as you can, and very slowly, gently exhale through your mouth. And this, you can do it again. Taking a deep breath and gently exhaling through the mouth. Just merely by doing this, you can easily change your pulse to 10 to 15. You can easily increase 10% of your heart rate variability, and you can drop your cortisol by 20%. Only 3 to 4 rounds of this has been shown to be doing this many changes. So we'll close our eyes and we take this moment, all of us together in this room, to first connect to our heart. Very gently, softly, listen to the heartbeats. What is the heart talking to us? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it just right? Just see the rhythm between your heart and your breath and your brain. This is the most important rhythm. And today, from this heart, we will be sending a pink energy, which is the healing energy, across as far as we can, to all the members who have been suffering, who are part of this entire Middle East crisis, to our brothers, to our sisters across the globe, whoever is involved and affected by it. Our prayers, our sincere well being requests from the higher consciousnesses with them. Give your best shot out for that pink energy which is just flying out from your heart and wrapping this beautiful Mother Earth with that energy. And just hug that little Mother Earth also and try to keep it into your heart. We have taken so much from the centuries. It's now our time to give back, our time to serve, our time to rise, and our time to claim the power, not just as women, but as the human race. Let's pray that everybody has limitless health, wealth, and happiness. Take one more time, deep breath, and rub your palm. And slowly rub your eyes, and you can relax. So I know all of you are from various fields. All of you are from, what a beautiful talk by Dr. Jayanti. I just joined it. Lovely, amazing to see. But today, from my side, let us unfold the magic of women's brain. So first of all, we'll do a little poll. How many of you think that women's brain, and I do see some men, no offenses, but we are special today. So we will be taking this of women. How many of you feel that women's brain are special? Just raise your hand. Okay. How many of you think men's brain are special? Okay, yes. Only one man. I'm going to support you. Yes. So when I asked about women's brain, everybody's up there. Men's brain, only one. Our gentleman voter is hooting for it. See, evolutionary biology had some purpose of making women women and making men men, right? The evolution had some purpose in mind. Imagine just for a moment that everybody, all 8 billion people are women. What will happen? Will there be any excitement? And imagine 8 billion people, all men. So the Shiva, the man, the masculine energy, and Shakti, women, the feminine energy were actually the source of the creation of this entire universe, right? So we have to celebrate today not just the feminine energy or this, because in each of us, and you all are into yoga in one or other form, in each of us we have the equal balance of the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And that union, that unitedness itself, yoga itself, is the purpose of all the practices that we do. Now, some of us have a little more feminine energy and some of us have a little more masculine energy. But the entire purpose of the spiritual practices, of all the uh, religious practices, whatever you do, is just for this union. So today we will uncover only 5 important and interesting aspects of women's brain. Are we all game for that? Just 5. Can you tell me what is the one special thing which is very commonly observed in women's brain? Like one very easily you can just figure it out that, yeah, outright, women are good at that, exceptionally good at that. Anybody wants to take a call on that? Just that one thing which is very obvious. I think the hosts are not allowing you to unmute. So, Geeta, yes, maybe you can just type it in the chat. That will be a, what is that one thing which is immediately observed? Multitasking. Anvesha says that multitasking, wonderful, love, beautiful, multi-processing, okay, multiple thinking, emotional, very good, loving and caring, wonderful, kindness, memory, calm, instincts of motherhood, beautifully said, expression, lovely, wonderful. I'm going to show you some of the data. All of you are right in all your forms, and I am going to share some data. So wonderful, amazing. All of you are perfectly right in what you mentioned. Just before that, just a little bit more about myself. Can you guys hear me now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So today is very short. In 10 minutes, we'll find out what are these 5 powers that we as women possess. So we will be able to celebrate and, of course, learn and then rise as well. So I practice in Gargash Hospital in Dubai, but I'm extremely passionate about bridging science and spirituality. Somewhere in my life, yes, all cool, great gold medals and lots of accolades, working with United Nations and best of universities, University of Cambridge, intellectually, bang, everything. But a point in time came in my life with great unfortunate emotional trauma. It was like so deep. My very dear friend, 25 years of a relationship, she was very, very close to me. She was almost like my sister. We grew up together. She leaves me one fine day on little small conflict, and that emotional pain lasted for good 3 years. And that was the time when I first realized how the brain not just functions, but how the brain can actually have, you can just completely be off when you are not emotionally stable. And that led me to explore all the alternative techniques, yoga, pranayam, the chakras, every other thing, because I wanted to fix my emotional brain. Intellectual brain and emotional brains are two very distinct parts. And slowly, with that thing, when I started to realize that all the wisdom is lying in the ancient techniques, I started to bring it to the lab. I run a lab called Limitless Brain Lab. And I started to interview some of the top people. How have they done it in their life? Now, I'm going to show some of the people whom you will recognize. This is how we do the brain mapping at the lab. And what we do is basically we want to understand how the brains are functioning. For example, Nicole, I really love her. She was the one who stood on Emirates, the Burj Khalifa with an Emirates advertisement. She had 6 months of an ICU and 14 fractures. After that, she had the audacity to go ahead and do this amazing stunt standing on Burj Khalifa. So I just, wrote to her and said, look, I want to learn resilience from you. Can I just, interview you? And I had the opportunity to meet some of the top leaders in the region, some musicians, some fantastic memory champions, and all that was just for my brain. And I wanted to, scan and do what best I can do for the brain. And that led me to a lot of discoveries about the brain. So I'm very thankful to the pain that came to my life. So the first lesson for me was, let's be grateful and gratitude that this pain led me to look at the brain from a completely different perspective. When I had scanned my brain, it was in US, serendipitously, there was a romantic breakup study which was going on. I knocked the door and I said, Professor, can you check my brain? He says, you're not eligible. You're not in the inclusion criteria. Yours was a childhood friendship. And I said, I'll pay, from my pocket. So they said, it's $25,000. I said, doesn't matter. Please scan my brain. $25,000. I scanned the brain, and the professor puts the brain up. And the first time I felt, oh my God, he asked me, are you a neurologist? I said, I don't want to say I'm a neurologist because my brain is up there. I know what I'm feeling emotionally, what is going on. And the guy is going to read my brain. What was found was that my brain was showing almost equivalent symptoms or perspectives which a heroin addict has. So the brain was, the attachment which I had with my friend was almost like a heroin addict. Now, I had never taken heroin in this, and it was a clarion call for me. When I looked at that picture, I told the professor, I'll come back in a year's time, and I know with all the ancient modalities, I will be able to fix it. And the professor says, no, you go to a psychologist, you go to a psychiatrist. And I said, I don't go to anybody. I fix it and I come back, And then I came back to Dubai, started to do EEG, electroencephalogram, started to monitor the brain, and then study every single yogic technique, study Swara Yoga, study all the aspects of Ashtanga Yoga, started to do very serious pranayams. And a couple of years, like 3 to 4 hours I would spend doing my regular practices. And after a year and a half, there's nothing in the brain which was there prior. And the professor was shocked. And everybody said, how did this happen? And this became sort of the igniting force for Limitless Brain Lab. So I always love to share that yes, we all go through emotional trauma, we all go through these pain, because as women we go through it more, as somebody said, but often there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. So yes, female brain is very special. The power, I'm going to disclose what is that power, and that power all of us can harness it. And yes, we can be slightly more stressed as well as compared to the other, I mean the men, I'm going to call as the man's brain. So this is an interesting fact that as women, we have 6.5 times more concentration in the language areas. So we do speak very well. And sometimes we continue to speak and we don't stop. And men does not have the capacity to have so much of speech, So for them, it's like a shut off, And that's why in a conflict, women always keeps talking and the men is not able to address that, because that is what the women's brain is all about. Now, two hemispheres, right and left, are connected very thickly, 10 times greater fiber connections. Now, this will give them the ability for multitasking. I'm taking care of my kids, I answer a phone call, I also answer an email, everything is happening. Now, to a man's brain, send him to a closet where his socks are kept, and the socks are lying just there, not even far off. He will not find it. He'll come back and say, where is it? Where is it? Go and ask him to get a yogurt from a refrigerator, which is lying. Like you can just see it. But man's brain will not be able to see. So they are monofocal. They work in a single pattern, but women can multitask. So this is the great power, I think, of connection that women has been offered, and the language as well. Now, this is most beautiful, that as women, we have both sides of the brain, which is involved in empathy. We call it insula, which is active. And that's why we are more emotionally intelligent. So both sides of the insula is active for women. And we also have a lot of social intuition. We quickly feel what is happening around us. And the verbal fluency, which means the ability to speak verbally and recall the memory, is 12% faster. 12% faster than the contemporary males. Just this is mind blowing. See how beautifully women were given these abilities as a part of nature's mechanism. Now, this is also very interesting that we as women has a slightly basic advantage in stress resilience as well. We love, we have care, compassion, somebody said in the chat. Because of this, our oxytocin levels are also on the higher side. And that's why we have a basic underlying protection mechanism as well. When too much of stress comes in, men cannot handle, but women has the beautiful ability to handle that as well. The cortisol, the bad hormone in stress, when it is rising high, that is what the problem comes in. A lot of people suffer because of that. In women, there are some special mitochondria is the powerhouse, the storehouse of energy. Now, if we connect mitochondria to our ancient wisdom, it is that Shakti, it is that power, it is basically the force, it is that reason by which all of us are living. So it is always the Shakti, the X and the X chromosome, which was always at the start. The Y came in, and that's why a male was born, but it was that original mitochondrial power which we always had. And this cortisol spike can be buffered with 25% higher in women as compared to men. This is an amazing protection which we as women have been having evolutionary. And this mitochondria, it just blows my mind when I read about it, that in a woman's brain, in a cell of a brain, in a cell of a woman's brain, compared to the cell of the man's brain, there is 30% more mitochondria. So that energy is much more and the power source is much more. And that's why we call it the vitality and the feminine energy. And it's always flowing. It's always the power. It's always the energy source because mitochondria is much more than a male cell. Now, these are all very interesting factors what we as women need to be proud about and also use it effectively because this is what makes us special as well. Now, uh, in the yogic anatomy, in the yogic processes also, it is so important that unless and until we connect to our core identity or core self and core energy, we cannot explore anything outside. So it is always inside out that yoga also teaches us. And this power, every single power that we have been given, we should be A, proud about it, B, we should be utilizing it for our favor, and we should not be, losing that. And currently, as the data as we speak, more and more chances of women getting Alzheimer's is rising. There is a lot of women suffering from perimenopausal problems. Between the age of 45 and 55, the main headlight of the brain called prefrontal cortex is showing the shrinking. There is a lot of women with PCOD. The rising rates are just astronomical. Lots of infertility. Now, all this is happening because we have screwed up completely our lifestyle. And if I were to say what is the best way to fix a health, is to just fix your entire day's routine. And the chronobiological experts have now proved that the first 5 minutes when you spend with the sun, we used to do good old days, the Surya Arga, the first 5 minutes with the sun will set your entire 16 hours right. So your melatonin at night, which allows you to sleep, rest, everything will fix only if you do first 5 minutes in the sunlight. Now, that sunlight is also giving an entropy or an energy to your mitochondria. There's so many things which are interlinked. And then having, of course, the fixed bedtime and all these are routine stuff which we all have to do it as a yam and niyam. We all know the 8 limbs of the yoga. Unless and until we practice it daily, consistency will only wire our brains. So if we want to change our reality, we want to embrace the power that we have without getting emotionally hurt, without getting emotionally involved, without getting, all these problems that I just spoke about from hormones. We have to arise, we have to be awake, and we have to do all the right things for daily life. So all the best to all of you.